The next film I'm going to talk about right here is going to be Emancipation. And this is a film directed by Antoine Fuqua. And this is Will Smith's first film since the infamous slap at last year's Oscars presentation in which he slapped Chris Rock. So the story is this in Emancipation. Peter, a slave, flees a plantation in Louisiana after he was whipped within an inch of his life. He has to outwit cold-blooded hunters and the unforgiving swamps of Louisiana on a torturous journey north. So this film stars Will Smith as Peter. And if you know anything about history, man, there's a photograph that's just been everywhere in all the history books or whatever of a slave with his back kind of turned toward the camera that's horribly scarred, just to, you know, and it says that this picture was one that kind of helped accelerate the abolitionist movement. And this is the story. That's the same character that Will Smith plays in this film. It also stars Charmaine Bingwa as his wife. We've also got Ronnie Jean Blevins, who plays a character named Harrington. Ben Foster plays a slave catcher who's pretty much the bad guy in this film. Gilbert Owar, Aaron Minton, Michael Luoye, Jabbar Lewis. Stephen Ogg is really great in this, though. You love to hate him, man. He's good, man. You probably recognize him from Grand Theft Auto as well as The Walking Dead and, you know, smaller bit parts in movies. We've also got Paul Ben Victor in this as well, Grant Harvey, Mustafa Shakir. You probably remember him as the bad guy from that season 2 of Luke Cage. And he's good. He's in a lot of stuff. I think he was also in the adaptation on Netflix of
Cowboy Bebop.
Yeah, Cowboy Bebop.
Okay.
Yeah, he's in that. And as well as a bunch of other characters, man. But the story is kind of interesting, man. I definitely did enjoy the film. It plays more like an action adventure film, man, because essentially what happens when we meet our character, Peter, what's going on? This is like the right after the Emancipation Proclamation is declared, the war industry is just in full swing, you know, on both sides. So what's going on in the South is a lot of the plantation owners are lending out some of their slaves to the Confederate war effort. So what ends up happening is Peter is sent to pretty much a work camp, and what they're doing is building railroad tracks so they can run supplies quickly, you know, through the Southern territories. And while he's at one of the railroad camps, that's when he makes his escape. And then this thing kind of just it's kind of wild that, you know, throw an action adventure into, you know, a story about, you know, slavery, but it's essentially what it is, man. So he spends most of this film on the run and using his wits and just determination to evade the slave catcher. You know, they got dogs on him, and he doesn't leave by himself. You know, he breaks off with like a few other slaves, and they decide to just, you know, split up at one point, and because it's just going to be easier, you know, they have a better chance splitting up. At least some could possibly get away. But also the environment that he's escaping in is very hostile, man. This swamp is also trying to kill him, you know, and that's kind of what makes this thing a little bit unique, man, in a way. So we're kind of watching this guy just struggle through all of this. And you know, one of the complaints I've seen with the criticism, you know, of course, you know, I've checked out the reviews after I've seen it, and they kind of saying it's a shallow film. And I could kind of agree to that, man. If you're looking for any big statement on slavery or whatever, there are moments where they kind of make quick quips, or some of the characters make reflections on the institution of slavery. But as I wrote on Facebook, they feel more obligatory than meaningful. You know, just something they've thrown in as an afterthought. But it still works for me, man. You know, I don't think every work has to be making grand statements like that, man. It's almost like you watch a film like The Great Escape, and it's not really making a big statement on World War II. It's really mostly about you know, the story of how these guys got out of that camp. The
Great Escape is just showing how they were causing problems, so they were using up resources to keep them in prison, then they could use on war effort or whatever. That's one of my favorite films, by the way.
Yeah, but essentially that story is like all the little moment to moment things are really about how they, work together
and all that.
And doing all that. So that's essentially what this is, man. It's really about Peter's journey. I do like I said, man, this thing, it looks good though. I think this is probably one of Antoine Fuqua's better films. He's been hit or miss, man. Like I think before this, my favorite thing that he's ever done as a whole was probably Training Day. And then, he's had some solid things. I think I like Replacement Killers, but then he'll turn around and do something that's just like kind of totally misses the mark or something that's one and done. But I think
you don't like his Equalizer films.
I'm not the biggest fan of Equalizer films. They're okay to me, but I don't know. I've seen, like, I watched those, but I never was compelled to go back to them, man.
They're good, but like I told you a couple years ago, it was no reason for me to see either one of them in IMAX or the first one in IMAX because it wasn't anything to really be seen in IMAX that made it.
Yeah, I thought the first time around it was cool, but then the second time I was just totally like, man. But that's just my personal opinion. But like I said, I do like this, man. There's some interesting choices. The cinematography, it starts off like it's filmed in this really washed out look. Like it's almost no color there, but it is there. It's like a really like they turned the saturation down really low, but it looks great, man. The cinematography is great. There's also a really cool Civil War battle sequence that I didn't think we were going to get according to the trailer, but I never really did watch the trailer, so maybe they hinted at it in there. But I thought that was well done. It made me think to go back. I was like, yo, has there been any good Civil War films recently? Like I think Matthew McConaughey made one, but I never really watched that, the Free State of Jones or whatever. But
yeah, that was
this made me interested to look into that element of the a film. Like, yo, what's a good Civil War? Because that battle was crazy, man. You actually see. Like I think we were talking a few weeks ago about the combat in All Quiet on the Western Front, and this kind of reminded me of that, man. It kind of puts you in there, like, yo, this was messed up, bro. And we're talking about this is pre-morphine.
Oh yeah,
where they just holding you down and sawing your limbs off. Like it's like, man. It's nasty, man. But it was really well done. But like I said, man, it is a good tale. Like. It's good. It does a good job of telling his story. But if you're looking for any deeper reflections on slavery as an institution, you're not really going to find that here. Also, I don't think he's good in his role, man. He's really good, Will Smith. But at the same time, there's not really many scenes where there's probably one or two scenes where you're like, all right, that's the moment. That was some good acting. But for the most part, it's really more of a physical performance, versus, having that monologue of, he doesn't have a Queen Ramonda speech moment in here, like yelling at a Koye moment. Like that's not really, there's not a lot of moments like that in here. But it does show you some interesting things, man. I think for what was going on in the time period, because it was a lot, man. This is one of them things where I think it's just part of that greater story of slavery and the history of that South and the Civil War. It's just one of those things that happen, and I think it's a cool piece of that just greater puzzle, man. It's worth watching, man. I definitely can recommend it if you get a chance, and everyone's going to get a chance. I saw it at a theater here. Shout out to the Landmark. I think it was called for some reason it's called the Landmark Atlantic Plumbing Supply. I don't know what the hell. Maybe it's a branding thing with the building that it's in. But the Landmark is a smaller theater chain that we've got here, and they usually play some of these more obscure films. Like if Netflix is going to put a movie in the theater, it's going to show at there, man. And this is the first time I went to this location, and it was really nice, man. It's crazy because there might have been 30 seats in that theater, dude, but they're really nice plush seats. They've got a nice bar, food and stuff, on the inside. And I would definitely take a trip down there. It was pretty easy to get to see something else there again, So, shout out to them, man. Really nice place to check out a film. And I would definitely recommend you go see Emancipation if you get a chance, Definitely. Everybody's going to get a chance this weekend. By the time this comes out, it'll probably be playing on Apple TV Plus.
It's on Apple TV Friday, yeah.